sure I'm not the only one that has noticed that a lot of skincare brands as of recent have started to delve into the makeup world. Drunk Elephant, Glow Recipe, Tatcha, Summer Fridays, and now the brand VERSED. Now, I've known VERSED for quite a while. They started back in 2019, and this is their brand spanking new line of makeup. I bought a bunch of it, I've been testing it out, and I wanted to talk about my experience with it. I just kind of bought everything because the specific items looked interesting to me, but then I started to do a bunch of research on VERSED, and I realized that Katherine Powers, who actually owns and started Merit, is also the founder of VERSED, which blew my mind because as I was testing VERSED makeup, a couple of the products actually reminded me of some Merit products that I already love. So in today's video, I'm actually going to be doing a full review of the VERSED makeup line, but also doing some comparisons between Merit and VERSED. Now, actually, I didn't pick up the VERSED primer because honestly, I'm very, very picky with primers. I typically like an emulsion primer or even a biphase kind of primer like the Merit Great Skin. VERSED doesn't have that. I really wish that the line had like a milky toner kind of situation, a la Ilia Face Base Milk, Great Skin from Merit. So I'm jumping right into foundation. I think this category is the least similar. There are some other products later in the video that are very similar in my opinion, but these aren't very similar. So let's first start on this side of my face with the Multi-Serum Skin Tint from VERSED. Now this is SPF 40, and it is a zinc oxide based sunscreen. And the application of this product, I have been testing it out. The application, a lot of this reminds me actually of this kind of line of products that I've seen a lot of brands come out with recently, which is the mineral-based foundation kind of serum skin tints. So think Sunny Days from Tower 28, even like the Kosas Revealer foundation, maybe even the Summer Friday skin tint. It comes in 16 shades. I bought the shade 2N, and I think the shade match isn't bad. I have found, as I've continued to test it, that you get really beautiful coverage when you're using more of a dense brush. I actually thought upon initial application, it was reminiscent of like the CL Tint and Protect, which I've been using almost every day. That's kind of like the everyday product I've been using, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of noticing a similarity here. These kinds of like mineral sunscreen skin tint kind of products, my skin really loves, and they often perform really well on me. So it was in general very encouraging for me to have that first impression experience. Now I get about just under a medium coverage with this. I don't like to build up this product. You can see the texture it's liquidy, it's more serumy, it's dewy for sure. But there does seem to be something a little bit different about this texture versus some of the other textures that I was just talking about. It's slightly thinner and it's just a little bit more translucent. You can still see like some spots kind of showing through. This isn't like a full medium coverage. And I do find that at the end, like after I've applied, I kind of feel the need to like kind of stamp the product in a little bit to get it to really fully like synchronize with my skin, which is not really something that I have to do with other products in this vein. I do feel like it has more of a tendency to sit on top of my skin. Not like completely, but more than some of the foundations that I already love and use all of the time. So I used like a pump. I still have a decent amount on, but you can see there's this kind of translucentness to this one, which I'm sure was because they decided to go the serum skin tint route. I almost wish that they had just called it a serum skin tint and added more pigment. I feel like it could have actually given a better blend to some people being me. But as we are applying the Merit Perfecting Complexion Stick, I wanted to do a little dive into Katherine Powers. So she's actually the founder of Who What Wear, if you guys are familiar with Who What Wear. Who What Wears, essentially, they are more of a beauty, lifestyle, fashion media company. She then opened VERSED in 2019, which was focused on skincare and again, a little bit more affordable as far as like price point goes. Then in 2021, she created Merit. I feel like Merit was kind of like an immediate success. Personally, for me, there were quite a few of the launches that I felt like were right on the money, like over and over. Some of them were not my favorite, though. We'll talk about some of those in a second. The product selection from VERSED felt very in line with the kind of products I would see Merit come out with, Kosas come out with, and that's why I was already planning on doing a video and kind of talking about that, but then when I found out that VERSED is literally owned by Katherine Powers, I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, as you can see, the Merit Complexion Stick, you know, if you're used to these really thick, heavy complexion sticks, you will consistently be surprised by the way that this product works. It lasts really well on the skin, and I actually think it's for more skin types than you would think because there's this kind of skin-like nature of it. You can see it's not like an overly dewy product. However, with the VERSED, this is, you know, a completely separate category of product. I have to be honest here, I'm not completely sold yet on the multi-serum skin tint from VERSED. I really like the initial application and as it continues to wear for about like 3-4 hours, but at the end of the wear, probably around 7-8 hour mark, I always notice it kind of like collecting around my nose in a way that I don't really like. It's kind of like a distinct crease kind of line, which makes me think this might not be great for someone with more defined smile lines, nasal labial folds. You know, if you have problems with foundation creasing around the nose, it just should, I think, is something to consider before purchasing. And if I look really up close at my skin right now, this is the kind of product I would typically reach for. It just sits a little bit on top of maybe like some peach fuzz or my skin more than I would like and more than other products in this category. However, the Merit looks unbelievably skin-like, kind of doesn't even look like I'm really wearing anything, which is something that I really, really love about the Merit. If you're wondering about the Merit Great Skin, I gotta tell you, this combo, kind of beautiful. Like, not kind of, like really, really beautiful. I love the Merit Great Skin Instant Glow. It is more like biphase, very lightweight kind of oil texture, so it's just going to depend on what you're looking for. I think for very dull, dry skin, this is really beautiful, but I do tend to reach for a more milky toner as of late. They also mentioned that this is like a skincare product, so you can use it within your skincare routine. You know, there are some brands that I see coming out with maybe like a skincare product, but they're primarily a makeup brand or vice versa. You know, VERSED is the kind of brand that is skincare that is now diving into makeup. I will be the first person to tell you the makeup products that actually feel good going on the skin or do kind of feel like skincare leaning. This is a product that my skin really, really loves and finds comfort in. So that's why I didn't even really bother to purchase the VERSED primer because it's just not what I look for in a primer. I look for skin prep skincare as my primer. By the way, I've been noticing that a lot of people have been watching my videos but aren't necessarily subscribed. I just want to give a quick shout out to, I guess, to myself. And if you're enjoying the video, I would really love to have you back. So make sure to subscribe. All right, so, you know, VERSED versus Merit side, I think I have to give it to Merit as far as complexion goes. I really had really just high hopes for this one. I don't think it's bad, but I do think that there are others that I would reach for more readily. Let's talk about concealer. So Merit again says that you can just use the complexion stick as concealer. I don't really typically use this under the eyes. I'm just very, very picky with concealers. A lot of us know this. So I'm not going to use this under my eyes. And actually, I'm sorry to report, I'm not going to use the Skin Solution Serum Concealer from VERSED. I did pick it up. I also got the shade 2N. It retails for $14.99. I think there is also 16 shades. I kind of have a similar qualm with the Serum Concealer that I have with the foundation in that it's too thin for me. It doesn't really want to pack the pigment. Really watery. I think brands understand that the consumer wants something that feels very thin and lightweight on the skin. But that is really, really difficult to do. I have noticed from like a formulation perspective that almost every time I purchase a very thin self-setting concealer, it's going to look dry under my eyes or it's going to exaggerate the natural hollowness that I have under my eyes. This is one of those concealers. Unfortunately, I found that I did not like the way it looked under the eyes. I thought it made my under eyes look more dark. Again, this is a typical thing that I see with this type of concealer. So what I'm going to do is add my CL concealer on. Now, CL is a very interesting case when we talk about brands that are coming out with these kind of skincare makeup hybrid products. I'm the first one to be a little bit critical of this or like understand that part of this is marketing, right? Like part of any makeup line kind of has to be marketing. You want people to find the product. You know, Kelly Gooch actually just talked about this recently about, skincare versus makeup. Where is the line drawn? I like CL because they are just basically calling themselves mineral makeup. The performance is not compromised because they've added SPF to the makeup. Now, granted, this is SPF 50, I believe. I'm not gonna get SPF 50 out of this. But for me, especially around the eyes, I really want to protect around the eye area in general. And my under eyes are so, like, sensitive when it comes to sunscreen. So the fact that they have released a concealer that gives beautiful coverage, does not make the hollowness under my eyes look crepey or weird, and also does not irritate my eyes, I mean, I'm just happy. I don't buy any of their makeup specifically because it has SPF in it. I buy it because it's just good. And I do think that their formulations feel really good on my skin. Something that I think is really important to think about with skincare makeup hybrids or, a skincare line that is releasing makeup that claims that it's going to feel good on the skin. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I have personally noticed a difference in how my skin reacts to certain makeup products based on the ingredients and like the kind of products that they are. For example, Kosas Revealer Foundation, my skin, I personally think does better when I'm wearing that foundation. I notice that at the end of the day, my skin is not as dry. It just feels good on my skin. My skin really enjoys it. But there are plenty of other products that are like, this is gonna completely brighten and change your wrinkles and whatever. I think it's just one of those things that we have to be conscious of. But I'm not gonna lie, I definitely think that there are some formulations out there that are doing good work as far as feeling good on the skin or making my skin more resilient throughout the day. Let's go ahead and get into bronzer. Now, I'm really excited about bronzer. Versed Warm Dimension Bronzer Stick. When I was applying this is the product that I was like, huh, this is very similar to the Merit. I wonder if they're trying to dupe it. Well, and the crazy turn of events, I realized that there's a good chance that they're trying to just secure the entire market as far as like these balm bronzer products. They have another option in a similar formula that is more accessible for other people to try. Now, something that immediately struck me was that the Merit is made in Korea. I actually already knew that because I am doing a video upcoming on like some of the cult favorite products here that are made in Korea. I'm just talking about that because I feel like a lot more brands are coming out with Korean formulated products. I find that exciting, but I also think there are some kind of like pitfalls of that. But the Versed, clear as day, on the back of here says made in Korea. And I was like, hold the phone a second. Both of these are made in Korea. Both of these are essentially balm bronzer products. 4 shades in the Versed and it retails for $14.99, whereas the Merit Retails for $30 with 5 shades. Now, I gotta say, kind of really love a lot of Merit's packaging. I love the stick applicator, the way it's kind of like slanted, it's thinner, but I've kind of talked about this before. This is not my favorite cream bronzer out there. It is a little bit sheer. I think it's really nice for very natural makeup, like I'm wearing bronzer, but you can't really see it, like very undetectable. Actually, for very, very fair skin, the shade Quince I actually think would be beautiful. Versed really has created an incredibly similar product. This whole time I could have just been putting this on the face. I guess I'm gonna take it from the actual applicator and apply, but honestly, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I've applied both of these just striping on the face and they apply fine because they're just so like blendable. The main difference that I see within these two formulas is the Versed has more pigment. I actually think that that was a really smart move on their part. I cannot imagine that they didn't take feedback from the launch of the Merit. You know, I think a lot of people like this Merit cream bronzer, the Balm bronzer, but you know, I could see the main feedback being given on that one that it just, you know, it's just too sheer. I noticed a better wear time with the Versed, and it's hard for me to tell if that's because, well, this has more pigment to start with, or if it's just a better formula, but for me personally, I like this one more. And so that is a really good feeling. I like this color a lot too. It's not orange, very like very subtle shape. I can see just folks that really like that subtle bronze being a fan of this, or people that like to really stripe and swipe the product on. This doesn't like disrupt any of the product that I have on. Now, I haven't used this with like a full coverage, like throw a balm bronzer over that. I wouldn't really, you know, suggest doing that. Just, you know, do what I've been doing. It immediately, by the way, in my personal opinion, made this foundation also look better. It just melts into the skin. It kind of rehydrates everything, melts everything back down. Merit, it's more sheer. It is very pretty. Again, it's like really like, you see the glow? Like there is a really pretty glow, hydration from the product, but I just personally find that I can get more pigment with the Versed. Sorry, if the application is not perfect in today's video, I'm working with like a much smaller mirror than usual and halfway just using my screen on my camera. So, you know, just be gentle with me here. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that looks like there's a glossiness, there's a prettiness, it looks good. This is not so different though that I think that I would recommend trying it out if you are interested or looking for this kind of product. But I gotta be honest, I kind of like a decent bronze. Like I kind of like a good amount of pigment as far as my bronzer goes, which is why I think we'll have an interesting conversation when we get into blush. The Versed Shade Swipe Blush Sticks. I got mine in the shade Brownstone. Ugh, I was so happy to see this shade. By the way, you can see there's a little bit of like foundation sitting on top. That's because I literally like swiped it onto the face. I mean, they call it the shade swipe. It should be, you should be able to do that if they're gonna name it that. $12.99, 4 shades. Not bad as far as price point, like not the cheapest for affordable, but also, you know, I'm still willing to entertain it. This has way more pigment than I was expecting, and it's not like, you know, insane pigment, but it is beautiful and it packs the color, and it's actually quite a similar texture to the bronzer. They kind of just meld really prettily together. Yeah, I kind of just take the color and mesh it into the bronzer, and it gives me a really pretty sun-kissed effect. This shade is very much akin to like, say, spicy, you know, these kind of like terracotta, bronzed, sun-kissed kind of shades. So it's gonna be, I can see this being a fan favorite. By the way, do you guys see that already? That kind of like collection happening in my nose? Like, there's the Merit. like I just notice it here a little bit more. Something that you'll see in this texture, you see how there's like some translucence to it. It's not like a complete cream base pigment. That is very much in line with the Merit Balm Bronzer, as well as the Merit Flushbalms, like the iconic Merit product. Now, Merit just released like a ton more shades. I I wish that I could have had like the exact shade comparison to put on the other side. I feel like that would have been fun. But these retail for $30. They come in 9 shades. These are also made in Korea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the shade Fox. So Fox is like, it's more brown, like warm orange brown. But then I'm going to add my favorite Merit Flush Balm shade on top to get us like a little bit closer. So what you'll immediately notice when you apply this on, one, you're seeing the foundation kind of thing happening. It's not anything I honestly worry about because they're so like translucent that it really isn't a problem with this kind of coverage anyway. But more, we have a touch of glossiness there, more here. So these are not identical formulas. I would literally never claim that because they aren't. But there's a translucence, a juiciness. It is blush that completely melts on the skin. It literally takes no time to blend. Very beginner-friendly makeup. I'm gonna take a little bit of my favorite rouge, the red. If you guys are not familiar with my channel, you don't know my love affair with this. This is literally one of my favorite blushes ever because I love red blush, but you can see that, oh, it's just like this gorgeous, just flushed kind of look. Really kind of plumps up the cheeks. It makes them look fuller. There's just something about it. But I don't think that this is so different than what we have going on over here. I think all of these formulas are just different enough, but are quite similar. I'm just going to take a little bit more of this shade Terracotta. I love using shades like this kind of on the forehead a little bit. It gives like a very natural kind of beige sun-kissed thing. It makes everything look really seamless. What Merit has, the Merit Flushbalms that Verse doesn't have, is just the wider shade selection. As far as longevity between the Flushbalms and the Versed, they're very, very similar. I think you could expect both like a 6 to 7 hour wear out of either of these. They are going to fade. It's just kind of the nature of the product. Just like set your expectations as far as that. Let's go ahead and talk about the highlight balms. Another product I was like, So the Merit Dayglow highlighting balms, I've loved these for quite a long time. Kava, Citrine, these are like my 2 favorite shades. I think I'm gonna add Citrine on. Very glossy, balmy. It's just, again, similar vibe to the other products we talked about. There's a balminess, there's this volume thing that it's trying to do. Very easy to blend. This isn't going to last all day, but there is this sort of makes your skin look like you just had a drink of water kind of thing. I really enjoy the finish. I love the kind of translucence of it, that glassy glow that it gives, rather than the kind of base pigmented highlighting cream. Well, Versed has come out with their High Points Illuminating Stick. Merit has, I think, 3 shades. There might be more now, and it retails for $30. Now, I got mine in the shade Baroque. Looks pretty right there. It's a creamier highlight as far as the base pigment. So when I was talking about why I love translucent highlights, so there's kind of like a swatch for you guys. I like a translucent highlight because they kind of, again, they kind of become one with the skin. You don't necessarily see them. This is a little bit, it's okay. I'll give it that. It's okay. It's not anything I would ever go to repurchase or necessarily recommend. It's pretty, but it's just not, I wouldn't like go out of my way to apply it because of that creamy base pigment. It becomes like, you know how these 2 products kind of are melted and meshed? It doesn't, you can't really see where it starts and stops, hopefully. That highlight looks, you know, when people say like the stripe of highlight, This isn't stripe territory, but when you're comparing something like this to that, when you really start to dive in, you'll notice these kinds of differences. You know, I'm good at noticing and comparing products. It's pretty much all I do all day. I'm just gonna go ahead and say, if you're interested in something like this, I would go with the Merit. We are gonna talk about eyes. Bear with me though here. I didn't want to buy the Sheer Stay liquid eyeshadow from VERSED. I didn't want to buy it. I can, I'm sorry, I can smell certain bad makeup products from a mile away. I'm like, okay, sheer liquid shadow, it is a recipe for disaster. It is really difficult to formulate this kind of product. I really, you guys, truly, you know, I don't roast products for the fun of it. I always try to find redeeming qualities out of makeup. I really did not like this. I got it in the shade Mystic. The color is gorgeous. I actually really like the shade selection. I mean, that kind of green, gold, these shades, I'm like, I'm all about it. They're delightful. But this goes sheer so fast. And then when it does, if you have any concealer on your eyes, it's going to mix with it and dull the color. And then when you build it up, which it will build up, but it starts to crumble and it actually picks up and sticks on itself. So that's something that I notice a lot with liquid formulas, like eyeshadow formulas that aren't well formulated, in my opinion, is they'll start to dry down when you go to build it. If you're using a brush or a finger, it doesn't really matter. The other layer of product will pick up the one beneath it. So you're left with a very patchy look. But yeah, when this dries, it like goes like crumbly, feels like eraser shavings. It really just kind of poof, it's gone. It erases anything that you have on with it. So I don't recommend this one. Sorry. Not sorry, but actually I bought it anyway just because I knew that you guys know how much I love cream shadow. I was going to get questions about it, and if me spending the $15 saves 10 other people their $15, I'm willing to do that. I feel like that's part of the job here. I guess I was hopeful enough, but all kind of in vain. However, Merit Solar Shadows are really beautiful. I think I'm just gonna go with the shade Studio. It's just such a great shade. These are, think like long wear eyeshadow pots that just lock in on the eyes, but give you enough time to blend. So I love using these to like set the crease of my eye and then go in with like a glossy shadow on top that typically will crease. Or I just wear them alone like I'm doing right now. Just kind of like swipe them over. This is going to last all day. As far as like Merit products that last the longest, it's this. And it makes me happy that that's the kind of formula they went with when they released these from Merit. Again, it's like very budge-proof single shadows. And you guys know how much I love a single shadow. So these are, I think, one of the better buys if you're someone that is looking for a long wear shadow to kind of like set your lids. Just to add that bit of definition. It shears out really well. See how just like, it's just very, very natural. Just really love those. But yeah, so I hope that you guys don't mind that I did not want to apply them today, but as you guys have already noticed, I have like single application footage of every product that VERSED just released. By the way, $9.99 for the liquid shadows, and then the Merit Solar shadows are $24, 8 shades. But you know what? We have to hand it to VERSED with this next launch. The VERSED Day Lash Lifting and Defining Mascara. This is a very long wearing mascara. I was incredibly impressed with the longevity. I'm just gonna apply this today because I actually don't think I have the Clean Lash anymore from Merit. That's a really good kind of no makeup mascara, but this one I think lasts even longer. You guys, I'm looking up close on my skin right now, and I really gotta tell you, the VERSED looks very, very good. The only thing though is the skin tint. It just like, I can see it kind of collecting in here. Like in the corner of my lip, like no one wants that. The Merit, I think, has this really pretty naturalness. but the actual bronzer and blush look very nice. But let me show you guys this mascara. I forgot to talk about price points for the eyes. $12.99 for the Day Lash from VERSED, whereas the Clean Lash tubing mascara is $26. This holds a curl really, really well. This kind of goes on, and then the look that you have is the look that it's going to look like it's the same when you go to take it off. But you guys can see, hopefully, that brush. Very straight, but kind of has a little bit of a wiggle to it. And let me show you guys how it looks going on. It definitely has that kind of clean lash look. There's no risk of this looking really heavy with volume. But something that I really like about it is it doesn't look kind of wimpy. I think some really clean definition mascaras can kind of make the lashes look more sparse, and I don't notice that with this, which for me personally I really like. I see folks that enjoy a very, very natural mascara that kind of doesn't look like a lot of mascara. I see you enjoying this one. What was the most impressive to me about it wasn't like the way my lashes actually look. Like this is a very pretty like no makeup mascara, and I would wear it on those kinds of days, but I was just really impressed by this longevity. That's the part that like really stuck out to me. But that's how the lashes are looking. I would be interested in comparing this to like the Refi mascara, Glossé Lash Slick. I mean, I've tried both of those. I think that this is definitely better than Glossé Lash Slick. I like this more personally. But my lashes, again, they're going to look like this until I take off the mascara tonight. You know, I do tend to go for a little bit more of a dramatic lash. Not like chunky lash, but I do like a nice frame. But this is one of the first mascaras I've used in a long time where I'm kind of into the very subtle lash. Like it's wooing me a little bit. I did not pick up the brow product from VERSED. I'm just gonna put in my favorite, which is the Make Beauty Infinite Hold, because I love a strong hold clear brow gel. That's my preference. I knew that I wouldn't get any use out of that one from VERSED, so I decided to skip that purchase. Hopefully you guys understand. But I mean, come on, Make Beauty just killed it with this formula. So Merit has a few different lipsticks, lip products in their line. Signature Lips, one of my favorite lipsticks ever. One of my favorite lip products. They also released their Shade Slick Jellies, which are kind of like a clear pH adjusting, not really pH adjusting. It's gonna turn that color on everyone. You see that very pink, like fuchsia kind of color at the top? It's just gonna turn that on your lips. I mean, I understand where they were going with it, but it's just not my favorite. So they released these. These came after their original tinted lip oils. You know, these formulas aren't my favorite, but I gotta tell you, I love, 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 love the colors that they have. This taupe shade, that taupe shade for a sheer lip product, I'll put on a little bit and then take it off. Divine. Divine. So pretty. Honestly, my lips could use some hydration right now. So again, I really loved the shades, but just the formula was a little too slippy for me. But the VERSED Tinted Lip Serum, kind of like this clicky applicator, very similar to, you know, they call it a lip serum. It's going to be a little bit thinner, but it's also a gloss, according to them. I'm just going to put this on, and then I'm going to wipe it off. This is the shade Flamingo. And how many shades? This is $9.99. Typically $24 for like the lip oil from Merit. If you're between the two, just get this. Look at that. Divine. This is going to be repeat for this spring. It has a thinness to it. It isn't super, super glossy, super, super thick, but it's not really slippy. It's kind of a middle ground formula. The color is juicy. It's just very comfortable, easy. It does have like a touch of a tingle. If you don't like that, now you know. I don't mind it though. It's really beautiful. This was definitely a standout. As mentioned though, the Merit Signature Lips, these are one of my favorite formulas ever. They're sheer lipsticks. They also have the matte version. Matte version is not my favorite. I think it can go a little drying. The signature lipsticks though are like the perfect mid-ground sheer lipstick in my opinion, but they did release their signature lip blush, which I guess is, you know, I only have one. I think it was maybe limited edition. This is closer to like a blotted lip, so not quite like full pigment matte lipstick, kind of more of a sheer but matte. They're trying to give us options. To kind of take a step back, I wanted to show you guys the Versed Cashmere Color Smoothing Lip Blush. Now, remember, the lip blushes from Merit, Merit has a formula literally called the lip blush. This is the shade Du Jour. Okay. Smooth, kind of blotted lip look. It's very pretty. Actually, I haven't revisited these in a while. I actually really like that. But there is a part of me that thought that that was limited edition. I'm gonna have to do more research on that. What I was trying to get at is that these Versed lip blushes are beautiful. Look at this. I have mine in the shade Reserve. Effortless. You don't need a mirror with this. Look at that color. Okay, hello Clinique Black Honey. And by the way, I did give you guys a swatch comparison because, you know, I got you. Absolutely beautiful. I do prefer more precision as far as application, so I don't like this like giant, not giant, but I can make it work, but you can see it's more rounded. I do like something pointed. Look at that. It's beautiful. Again, you're just gonna have to be more careful with the one from Versed. I actually did want to compare the Merit Signature Lip in L'Avenue because I think it's kind of similar to Reserve. So this is L'Avenue, one of my favorite lipsticks ever from Merit. Just incredible. Here we have Reserve from Versed. Though I think looking at it, I think there's more red to L'Avenue, but maybe if I sheer out L'Avenue, you can get a better feel. Yeah, I think there's just more red and brown to L'Avenue and then Reserve, but pretty similar. And then let me give you a swatch of Du Jour as well on top. Du Jour is just more of that like, you know, Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk kind of color that's at the top of those. So Du Jour, Reserve, L'Avenue. I gotta be honest here, I don't always trust my skincare brands creating makeup, just like I don't always trust my makeup brands creating skincare. However, it's clear that there is a lot of expertise and experience on both ends. Versed can kind of borrow the pure researching power and just general market experience to create their line because they, again, they're owned by the same person. You know what? Overall, I think that Versed came out with some very interesting products. For me, standout are the lip products. The lip products I think were the most interesting to me and they performed the absolute best. So like these lip blushes I think are beautiful. The tinted gloss serums I think again are gorgeous. That shade Flamingo I will be wearing a lot this spring. Skin tint as well as the concealer were unfortunate. They aren't my favorites. If you're hoping for something similar, I would go with the CL Tint and Protect. Or if you like the way the Merit stick looks, I mean, you like something that's just easy, you might want to consider Merit. But for me personally, I'm not a huge fan of the one from Versed. The concealer was the same deal. Which, by the way, I like the CL concealer and the foundation. They make really good base products in my opinion. But as far as the bronzer and the blush from Versed, I think Versed does this well. I think they're doing something incredibly similar to Merit as far as the cheek products that we talked about. As far as the eyes go with Versed, again, the mascara is gorgeous. And I definitely recommend trying out the Versed mascara first over the Merit just because it's cheaper and it lasts forever. Just really, I was very impressed with the longevity. Shadow, I would go with Merit, hands down. Oh my god. The Versed, honestly, the liquid shadow, I can imagine those maybe staying in the line a year. I don't foresee very many positive reviews coming out of that formula. Always willing to be wrong, but I just can't imagine someone having a good time applying that, especially considering the demographic and consumer, like they're after looking for something really easy and quick to apply. That would that would give me a headache first thing in the morning. And as previously mentioned, for primers, I think, you know, I would just go with the Merit Great Skin. I haven't tried the one from VERSED, so you guys might just have to trust me on that, but I just think that that is the more unique product. But overall, I hope that you guys found this very interesting. I loved to do these comparisons. If you enjoyed it, if you found this video helpful, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps me and helps other people find my videos. I'm gonna leave all the products that I talked about today, both from Merit and VERSED, down below. If you guys have any questions, I'm always in the comments, so just drop me a comment, and I'll see you guys in my next one.